I took a pretty hard line on government indoctrination centers recently, and I caught a lot of flack for it. What did I say? Why did I say it, and do I still stand behind it? What's in the news with stories on school suspension for going to the gun range after school? A court decides to remove gun rights from marijuana cardholders. Tennessee wants to prohibit DUI offenders from buying alcohol. NSA targeted Bitcoin users, and feds make sex work less safe. Also, and yet another bad cop segment on the murder in Sacramento. This episode is brought to you by Zencash, a cryptocurrency that infuses privacy, anonymity, and security done right. Also brought to you by NordVPN, the fastest, easiest to use service to protect your online presence that I've ever seen.
Welcome to The Lava Flow, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Find us at thelavaflow.com. Here's your host, Roger Paxton.
Thank you for joining me this week. From the state with the first ski club in the country, the Nansen Ski Club that was formed in 1882 in Berlin, New Hampshire. This is the show that will bring you the people, places, and events that everyone in the Liberty Rebellion needs to know. You can catch me on Twitter at the Lava Flow Pod. This is episode 86, Government Indoctrination Centers, and it's Wednesday, March 28th, 2018, when there have already been more than 291 people killed by police this year. And the United States debt clock shows us at $21,047,550 million in debt. What's wrestling my jimmies this week? You're about to find out. Let's do it to it. Now, I caught a lot of shit for a stance that I took on the latest episode of Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor with the Lions of Liberty guys. I'll get into it all, but first, let me play you the clip from that episode that was the issue for a lot of people.
We don't need a government. I agree with you. But who takes people from where you are right now to where, kids are growing up today in public school civics class, learning about the government and how the bill becomes a law? And so how do you get from A to B?
You get from A to B by getting your kids out of government indoctrination centers. My kids have never stepped one single foot inside a government indoctrination center, and they never will as long as they fucking live, because that is number one. That is the best way, the quickest way to get this country and this entire world to liberty. Get your kids out of these goddamn indoctrination centers where they are shoving this shit down their fucking throats 8 hours a day and then sending them home to you where you sit on your fucking ass on a couch while they're up playing fucking video games and not teaching your kids the fucking principles of liberty. If you've got your kid in a government indoctrination center, I don't have any use for you, period. Because you're doing nothing but making it worse. You are perpetuating the system. You are filling their heads full of nonsense and bullshit. And I probably just said too much. I've had too much alcohol.
Roger, I love it.
So first of all, I have been drinking a lot of Dalwhinnie 15-year-old single malt scotch by this point, so I was not nearly as coherent as I would have liked to be. But I still stand behind everything that I said 100%. Now, I may not have said it as forcefully without the alcohol, but I still stand behind it. The part that really got people's goat was, if you've got your kid in a government indoctrination center, I don't have any use for you, period. These are strong words, and frankly, with good reason. But you guys know me by now. You know that I speak severely. The reason for this is simply because I learned a long time ago that moderation in language does not achieve my desired results. William Lloyd Garrison, slavery abolitionist and voluntarist, said famously, "I am aware that many object to the severity of my language, but is there not cause for severity? I will be as harsh as truth and as uncompromising as justice. On this subject, I do not wish to think, or to speak, or to write with moderation. No. Tell a man whose house is on fire to give a moderate alarm. Tell him to moderately rescue his wife from the hands of the ravisher. Tell the mother to gradually extricate her babe from the fire into which it has fallen. But urge me not to use moderation in a cause like the present. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch, and I will be heard. The apathy of the people is enough to make every statue leap from its pedestal and to hasten the resurrection of the dead. So yes, my language is severe, but it's necessary. When I see people sending their kids to government indoctrination centers all day, every day, and then they wonder why those kids come home loving the state. No, this will not do. As Vaughty T. Balkman Jr. said, we cannot continue to send our children to Caesar for their education and be surprised when they come home as Romans. Damn, I couldn't have said it better myself, and had I not been drunk, I'd like to think that I would have been similarly eloquent, but who am I kidding? Look, our kids are our most precious resource. If we want to foster liberty and truly achieve liberty in our lifetimes, it will not be because of us or our generation. It will be because of our kids' generation. Our generation and those before us have already had statism shoved in their heads all their lives, and that's very difficult conditioning to overcome. It reminds me a bit of the Matrix movies. We've unplugged, but most people will never be ready for that. But if you have someone born inside the Matrix, without the conditioning and the skewed perspective, then they are much less susceptible to bullshit and conditioning their entire lives. This is what I'm preparing my kids for. The thing I am most proud of in my life is that my kids have never stepped foot in a government indoctrination center. That means the world to me, because this has helped my kids become free-thinking, skeptical individuals who understand personal responsibility and liberty. So when I say that I have no use for people who send their kids to government indoctrination centers, I mean it. And yes, I have many listeners, people like you listening right now who send their kids to school, and I know this. I know I have supporters of this show who have their kids in school as well, people who give me money every episode, and I risk losing some of those listeners and supporters. But this message is more important than money. I talk to people all the time who feel like they have no alternative other than to send their kids to Caesar. And yes, I know that saying I have no use for you is very severe. But severe language is meant to wake you the fuck up. Like Garrison said, would you like me to moderately tell you that your house was on fire? Fuck no, of course not. You would want me to run up to you and yell, your house is on fire. So guess what, guys? If you're sending your kids to government indoctrination centers, then your house is on fucking fire, and you need to put it out right away. You are perpetuating a system that is murdered by the millions, abused by the billions, and stolen by the trillions. Government is responsible for these things. And when you send your kids to the government for an education, don't be surprised when they come home as statists, because they will. The Prussian education system was not designed to make good people. It was designed to make good citizens, and that's what they're doing to your kids. Is that what you want your kids to be? Good citizens of this abusive, murderous, thieving government? Good citizens don't think, they follow orders. And our school system is designed perfectly for that. My kids follow their own orders, and I wouldn't have it any other way. One man had a great amount of influence on what our schools would look like today way back in the mid-1800s. That man was Horace Mann. And the historian Elwood P. Cubberley said about Mann, no one did more than he to establish in the minds of the American people the conception that education should be universal, non-sectarian, free, and that its aims should be social efficiency, civic virtue, and character rather than mere learning or the advancement of education ends. Interesting. Notice how civic virtue and efficiency are elevated above education. Man hated foreign immigrants with a passion, and he wanted to, as Murray Rothbard said, use universal education to shape and render uniform all American citizens, to unify the nation, to assimilate the foreigner, to stamp all citizens as Americans, and to impose cohesion and stability on the often unruly and diverse aspirations of the disparate individuals who make up the country. Mann himself said that great care must be taken to, quote, inform and regulate the will of the people. Notice the regulate part. This guy was a classic statist, serving in the Massachusetts State Legislature, the Massachusetts State Board of Education, and the United States House of Representatives. He wanted your kids to revere the state and follow orders from men like himself, who he felt were superior to the rest of us. And that's still what school is for today. It's to create perfect slaves who will revere the state, revere the rulers, and follow orders. Oh, and shut up. Man also said, education, then, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men, the balance wheel of the social machinery. Do you want your kids to excel? Too bad. School is not there for your kids to excel. It's there for equalizing your kids, not to help them excel in life, period. Now, I wish I had the time to go into all the specifics of our compulsory education system, but luckily many have already done so, including the late, great Murray Rothbard. He wrote an article called The 12-Year Sentence, The Historical Origins of Compulsory Schooling. And, of course, I have a link to this article in the show notes at thelavaflow.com/86. Don't miss it. Also, make sure to check out the School Sucks podcast by a fellow Free Stater and New Hampshireite, Brett Venott. But I also highly recommend Carl Watner's book, Homeschooling, A Hope for America. If you read one book or listen to one thing on homeschooling and why it's so important, then get this book for sure. You can get this book by going to thelavaflow.com/homeschool or through a link in the show notes. If you're sending your kids to government indoctrination centers, stop. If you're considering it, don't. I know homeschooling is tough. I know many people think it's out of their reach. But is your liberty and the liberty of your kids worth sacrificing for, or is it not? I heartily believe that it is. But even more so, I believe it is the most important thing that we can do for our futures. Find a way to make it happen. Find a way to stop sending your kids to Caesar every day. Please. For all of our sakes.
Have you subscribed to the Lava Flow on iTunes or any mobile device yet? Then what's wrong with you? Go to thelavaflow.com/subscribe so you don't miss a minute of the show. And while you're subscribing, make sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review the show to help others find our podcast. thelavaflow.com/subscribe.
It's time to shake up your podcast feed, folks, by subscribing to Lions of Liberty, the only libertarian variety show out there. Spend Mondays with me, Mark Claire, as I feature in-depth interviews with great names in the libertarian community and fun roundtable discussions.
Electric Liberty Land with me, Brian McWilliams, every Wednesday, your weekly dose of comedy, culture, and liberty.
And Felony Fridays with me, John Odermatt, where I expose injustice in the broken criminal justice system.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and at lionsofliberty.com.
What's in the news? The news you need to know from a libertarian perspective.
In Zero Tolerance, Zero Intelligence News, Lacey Township School District in central New Jersey suspended 2 high school students after Snapchat pictures showed them at a gun range outside of school hours. Lacey Township School District follows the Safe Schools Initiative and the Zero Tolerance for Guns Act. Their own policy enforces zero tolerance policy for any students who have weapons in their possession, on or off school grounds, according to Patch.com. Attorney David Smutter with the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs said a lawsuit might be pending since the pictures were non-threatening and not alarming in any way. The 2 students were simply at a gun range after school hours. Smutter indicated in a letter to Lacey Township School District that suspending the 2 students for posting photos off school grounds and unrelated to school activities was a very serious violation of their rights. Absolutely. After the incident, the straight A students returned to school, but were not permitted to go to class. Attorney Smutter said, "These are top-quality kids. It's astonishing what they've done to these kids." The students could face a possible 1-year suspension, according to Smutter. What the actual fuck is this noise? So now your kids can have their rights stripped and their college futures destroyed, all because they choose to go to a local gun range, a legal gun range, to shoot legal weapons. Legally? This, folks, is beyond the pale. Like I said earlier, get your kids out of government indoctrination centers before it's too late. Oh, and that whole Constitution thing? Yeah, piss on it. Set it on fire and throw it away while you're at it. unfit to exist. In more unfit to exist news, if you have a medical marijuana card, the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals says you can't buy a gun. The court ruled 3-0 on Wednesday that a ban preventing medical marijuana card holders from purchasing firearms is not in violation of the Second Amendment. A lawsuit was filed in 2011 by Nevada resident S. Rowan Wilson after she tried to purchase a gun for self-defense and was denied based on a federal ban on the sale of guns to users of illegal drugs. Though marijuana has been legalized in some places on a state-by-state basis, including her state of Nevada, it remains illegal under federal law. The court maintained that drug use raises the risk of irrational or unpredictable behavior with which gun use should not be associated. Oh, but it's still legal to buy alcohol and own guns? Of course, because the feds say that drug is okay. The hypocrisy is palpable. Wilson claimed that she doesn't actually use marijuana. She simply obtained a card to show her support for its legalization. The appeals court agreed with guidelines from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives that firearms sellers should assume that medical marijuana card holders do use the drug. Chaz Rainey, the attorney representing Wilson, said that he plans to appeal the decision. We live in a world where having a medical marijuana card is enough to say you don't get a gun. But if you're on the no-fly list, your constitutional right is still protected, he told the AP. He argued that there should be more consistency in how the Second Amendment is applied. This bootlicking attorney is only concerned because the regulations against the Second Amendment aren't consistently spelled out? He makes it sound like he'd be fine with his client's rights being taken as long as her rights were consistently taken. Unfit to exist. Period. One cryptocurrency project that I'm most excited about right now is Zencash, with privacy, anonymity, and security done right. You can read all about Zencash at thelavaflow.com/Zen. Now look, I've read a ton of white papers on crypto, and this is the first one I've read that mentioned voluntary and voluntarist not once but 7 times. These are our people. And they are on the right track to mix great technology, excellent marketing, and awesome uses for their product. These guys get it, and they understand what crypto is all about. Now, this is a project, guys, that I believe in 100%. So much so that I have staked some of my own Zen to run a secure node on their network. So don't miss out on checking out this awesome project at thelavaflow.com/Zen. In more rights being stripped news, Tennessee lawmakers want to prohibit DUI offenders from buying alcohol. A bill that would allow judges to prohibit those convicted of driving under the influence from purchasing alcohol advanced in the Tennessee House last week. The bill originally sought a lifetime ban for a third conviction and discretion for judges to prohibit the purchase of alcohol by first and second-time offenders for 1 and 2 years respectively. The bill, HB 1698, would also make the purchase or sale of alcohol by or to one of these offenders a Class C misdemeanor. But before the bill advanced in the House Criminal Justice Committee, it picked up an amendment from Committee Vice Chairman Rep. Michael Curcio, Republican from Dixon. That change removed the lifetime ban as well as the punishment for the sale of alcohol to DUI offenders. The bill would also require updates on driver's license for offenders, including their status. So now legal adults will be denied the ability to buy a legal product, even if they plan to use that legal product completely legally. Guys, this is getting absolutely ludicrous. Where do they think the power to restrict this thing comes from? Oh, right. It's because they're our masters, and we're nothing more than slaves. In surveillance state news, the Snowden files are still revealing new information. And as it turns out, the National Security Agency worked urgently to target Bitcoin users around the world, according to a top-secret passage in an internal NSA report dating to March of 2013. Although the agency was interested in surveilling some competing cryptocurrencies as well, Bitcoin is a #1 priority, a March 15, 2013 internal NSA report stated. The documents indicate that tracking down Bitcoin users went well beyond closely examining Bitcoin's public transaction ledger known as the blockchain, where users are typically referred to through anonymous identifiers. The tracking may also have involved gathering intimate details of these users' computers. The NSA collected some Bitcoin users' password information, internet activity, and a type of unique device identification number known as a MAC address. In the same document, analysts also discussed tracking internet users' internet addresses, network ports, and timestamps to identify Bitcoin targets. The agency appears to have wanted even more data. The memo raised the question of whether the data source validated its users and suggested that the agency retained Bitcoin information in a file named provider-user-file.csv. It also suggested powerful search capabilities against Bitcoin targets, hinting that the NSA may have been using its X-keyscore searching system, where the Bitcoin information and wide range of other NSA data were cataloged to enhance its information on Bitcoin users. An NSA reference document indicated that the data source provided user data such as billing information and Internet Protocol addresses. With this sort of information in hand, putting a name to a given Bitcoin user would be super easy. The NSA's budding Bitcoin spy operation looks to have been enabled by its unparalleled ability to siphon traffic from the physical cable connections that form the Internet and ferry its traffic around the planet. As of 2013, the NSA's Bitcoin tracking was achieved through program codename Oakstar, a collection of covert corporate partnerships enabling the agency to monitor communications, including by harvesting Internet data as it traveled along fiber optic cables that undergird the Internet. Now let's be clear about this. They're always watching. And if you're connected to the Internet, there's no way to be 100% invisible or secure. However, there are a lot of options that you can use to better your chances of being invisible on the Internet. One is to always use encryption when sending communications, whether it's PGP through email or something like Signal or Wire for chats. Also, using a VPN would be a great idea as well to hide your location and encrypt Internet traffic as it travels end to end. And speaking of VPN, are you looking for a way to protect your online presence quickly, easily, and inexpensively while still surfing the net with high speed? Well, NordVPN is the best way that I've ever found to do just that. With over 2,500 servers worldwide, they cover every continent except Antarctica. But as they say, that's only because penguins just don't get the Internet. They also offer double data encryption, which encrypts data not once, but twice. And they never log what you do and where you go on the Internet. Also, NordVPN is fast, the fastest VPN service that I've ever used. They have apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android, so you can protect all of your traffic from all of your devices with NordVPN. Starting as low as $3.29 per month, they're also inexpensive, and they take Bitcoin too. With NordVPN, you can securely access any website from anywhere around the world, safely share files via P2P networks, and enjoy the fastest VPN experience without compromising your online security and privacy. Get signed up for the VPN service that I personally use every time I hit the Internet at thelavaflow.com/VPN. Again, that's thelavaflow.com/VPN. In Sex Work is Real Work news, the U.S. Senate passed one of the worst bills in recent memory, the so-called Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, FOSTA, that cleared the House of Representatives in late February. Trump is expected to sign this bill. This is the measure that would make online prostitution ads a federal crime and decimate Section 230, the federal provision shielding web publishers and platforms from certain legal liabilities for the things that users post. It's largely portrayed as a response to Backpage, but its reach goes much, much further than that. Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon, said that FOSTA is not going to prevent sex trafficking, and it's not going to stop young people from becoming victims. In fact, the legislation before the Senate is going to make it harder, not easier, to root out and prosecute sex traffickers. And this isn't just Wyden's opinion. The Department of Justice has not only called FOSTA unconstitutional, it says the legislation will create additional elements that prosecutors must prove at trial, thereby making it harder to get guilty parties convicted. Another downside. Under FOSTA, any attempts by a website or app to filter out bad content could lead to more legal liability. The only way for companies to stay safe will be to completely give up on content moderation and trying to stop illegal ads from getting through. An amendment to FOSTA offered by Senator Wyden would have closed this loophole, but it was shot down by a large majority. And we haven't even touched on the damage that FOSTA will do for sex workers, who could lose their ability to find and screen clients electronically, forcing them back onto the streets or into other situations where they'll be more vulnerable to violence and exploitation. They could also lose the ability to warn each other about dangerous customers on sex work message boards. As Alana Massey noted recently in Allure, these bills target websites that are widely and inaccurately believed to be hubs of trafficking activity, when it is precisely those websites that enable people in the sex trades to do their work safely and independently, at the same time as they make it easier for authorities to find and investigate possible trafficking cases. The bright side is that there's a strong chance this bill will run into trouble in the courts. Notre Dame law instructor Alex F. Levy points out, unlike the SAVE Act, which prohibits the knowing advertisement of trafficked sexual services, the statute implicates constitutionally protected speech. People are not going to stop trading money for sex. It's just not going to happen. We should be making them safer when they do so, not less. But our rulers don't give a shit about safety for you. They only give a shit about ruling you. Fuck the government in the neck. All branches, all levels. In some personal news, I'm running a birthday fundraiser for my birthday this Friday, March 30th. I chose the Free State Project for this fundraiser because this organization literally changed my life and the life of my family so much for the better. My initial goal was $500, and I blew through that in just a couple of days, thanks to a bunch of awesome supporters. So I extended my goal to $1,000, and as of right now, I am at $930 towards that goal, so 93% of the way. Now, I'd consider it a huge personal favor if you could help out this organization as a birthday gift to me. This organization is truly working towards liberty in our lifetimes on a regular basis, and it's a non-profit organization that needs all the funds it can get to make this happen. Full disclosure, I'm on the board of the Free State Project, but I'm on the board only because I truly believe in what they're doing. So please, if you can, go to thelavaflow.com/birthday and give what you can to help us out. $1,000 would be awesome to hit, but anything I can get over that would just be icing on my birthday cake. Thanks so much to all of the donors so far. You guys are amazing.
Exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per episode donation of as little as $1 an episode, or use Bitcoin. Get exclusive content, rewards, and help the Lava Flow become fiscally neutral while providing you more content. thelavaflow.com/support.
This is Chris Spangle, and I am the host of We Are Libertarians, which you can find in iTunes, Google Play, or at wearelibertarians.com. We are a podcast that brings you all of the irreverence that modern politics deserves by examining current events from a libertarian perspective. So please, check us out at wearelibertarians.com.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you...
I've seen some pretty egregious killings by cops in my time for sure, but this one is up there as one of the worst. A man was slain in his grandmother's backyard by 2 Sacramento cops because he was holding a cell phone. Of course they shot him because they feared for their lives, mistaking a cell phone for a gun. The news release from the police states the officers believed the suspect was pointing a firearm at them. Fearing for their safety, the officers fired their duty weapon, striking the suspect multiple times. I wonder if you or I could get away with pulling some shit like that. Of course we couldn't. We would be held to a higher standard than our own government agents. Go figure. Stephon Clark was apparently breaking into things that didn't belong to him, so this wasn't a saint. The incident began on Sunday after 9 p.m. when Sacramento officers responded to a report that a man had broken car windows and was hiding in a backyard. Officers arrived and were aided by a team in a Sacramento Sheriff's Department helicopter. Police said the helicopter personnel observed that the suspect had picked up a toolbar and broken a window to a residence. The helicopter team observed the man running and looking into another car, police said. The helicopter then guided officers to the man's location in the backyard of the home. The camera from the helicopter showed a man running through a backyard and hopping a fence into another yard. The aerial footage captured the moment when 2 officers began heading towards him. Officers arrived at the front yard and gave the man commands to stop and show his hands, according to police. The man immediately fled to his own backyard, the police said, and they pursued him. The officers fired 20 times at Clark, and he was hit multiple times. Officers then handcuffed Clark and began life-saving efforts, according to police. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police said detectives canvassing the neighborhood found at least 3 vehicles with damage that they say they believe Clark caused, as well as an adjacent residence with a shattered sliding glass door. Deputies in the helicopter witnessed him shatter the door, police said. Now, Clark's grandmother said she was inside the house when the shots were fired and saw him with an iPhone. She said, "He was right there, dead. I told the officer, you guys are murderers, murderers, murderers." So now cops are handing out death sentences for destruction of property and potential petty theft and holding a cell phone. Again, this is just ludicrous. These cops are on paid administrative leave pending the use of force investigation. So taxpayers are paying these murderers to sit on their ass at home for a vacation for a few weeks. I guarantee you they will be back on the street soon, though. And taxpayers will still be paying to continue to be victimized by these motherfuckers. Thank you for listening to the show this week. As always, I need to thank my favorite Southern lady, Jessica, for her help with this show. For the show notes to this episode, where I put links and other information that's been on the show, go to thelavaflow.com/86. I have 4 new supporters this week, and a huge bump towards my next goal. Derek S. and Eris K. both pledged $1 per episode using Patreon. Thank you so much, guys. Nicholas B. pledged a whopping $5 per episode. Wow, thanks so much, Nicholas. And finally, Robert C. went above and beyond and pledged $10 per episode. Holy shit, Robert, that's huge, man. Thank you. So thanks to Derek, Eris, Nicholas, and Robert, and all of my awesome supporters, I am now at $274, or 54.8% of the way towards my next goal of $500. Remember, when I hit this next goal, I'm going to be upping the content that I bring you from half an hour per week to a full hour. I know that you want more content from me, and I want to give it to you, so add your pledge today to help me bring you twice the lava flow that you're getting. And you can do that by exercising your free market muscles and going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a per episode donation of as little as $1 an episode using Federal Reserve notes through Patreon or Bitcoin through Coinbase. Thanks so much, guys. But I have no new reviews this week. If you have a minute and you want to hear your review read right here on this show, please go to thelavaflow.com/Apple and leave me a rating and a review. All the cool kids are doing it. Thank you to everyone who's left me a rating and a review so far. You guys rock. To all of you who haven't, can you help me out and go leave a review for me right now? Go to thelavaflow.com/Apple. Until next time, keep striking the root.
Thank you for listening to The Lava Flow at thelavaflow.com. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now at thelavaflow.com/subscribe. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.